Well, good evening. My name's Tom. I come to you from the great state of Maine. It's all, I don't know, 4 o'clock. I just got back from the fish house about 30 minutes ago. Realized I didn't have a video for you guys tomorrow. We put the fish house out yesterday, one of them. I've got 2 more up at the cabin that will go out here next week or so. And you guys are in for a treat. I've decided I need another fish house. So I've got all the materials picked up to build a fish house, and that doesn't take me too long. I've built a lot of them. I build them all the same. Oh, the sizes might change. This one's going to be a mobile fish house. So it needs to be like the fish houses up at the cabin. Something I can hook onto and leave right from here with. And that's why I want it. I live on a lake that's 14 miles long, 5 miles wide. And I don't actually live on the lake. I live on the swamp side of the lake. Otherwise than that, I couldn't afford the taxes on the other side of the road. That is the honest to God truth. I am taxed accordingly because I live on the swamp. Across the road, they all live on the lake itself. Big difference in the tax base, big difference. And how I get to the lake is shoot down over the hill, cross the stream that I live on, and then jump across the road. His phone going off. All kinds of people fishing today. Jump across the road, and then I'm attached to the lake. So what I want is a fish house that's according, something that I can haul right from here and fish anywhere I want on the lake. So that's what I'm after anyways. So just decided it was time to build another fish house for down here. Now that we're having a good Maine winter, what's out here for fish now, it's a long story. It's a long, sad story and a mad story because it made me so ugly years ago. I live on a lake that was known for its brown trout fishing. It was top of the line. It was crazy good. I used to say back then, I can't imagine fishing in Alaska being any better, which is a tall order. But it was that good for brown trout. I could go out every day of the week. It took me a while to figure them out. It took me a while to learn them. It took me a while to figure out where they lived. But after a few years of studying the lake and studying the brown trout, it was like a no-brainer to go out and limit out, number one. But not just limit out with some nice brown trout in the 5-pound range. 4.5, 5 pounds. So that's kind of what I cut my teeth on out here. And kind of what I got used to fishing for. And then back in the 1990s, and that's what got me ugly. Like I said, I haven't fished out in this lake for 25, maybe 30 years. And I've lived here that whole time. But what happened back in the 1990s is, and it was the late 1990s, some bonehead, and I want to say probably some camp owner on a different lake, which flows into the lake that I live on, decided that they needed pike in that lake. So in the late 1990s, they introduced pike into the lake that's about 2 miles from this lake. And it didn't take long for them pike to migrate between the 2 lakes. So that was 30 years ago now. 30 plus years ago now. And now the sad part is, and it made me mad back then, once they started catching pike, that's when I went north and started fishing the lakes up north, because I wanted my trout. I wanted my trout. I wanted the salmon. I wanted the lake trout. I wanted the cusk. I wanted the whitefish. I wanted all those fish. I did not, back then, I did not want to be fishing for pike. And then somewhere along the same line, same time frame, somebody introduced crappie, either to that lake or this one. I used to go for a walk down the road, and all of a sudden in the ditch, you'd see a half a dozen crappie fish, 13 inches, 14 inches, big ones. And now, like I said, I looked the lake up the other day just for the fun of it, because in the old days we'd have to have books, and you study your lakes with books and maps and depth maps and different studies, you know, fish studies, and it would tell you what was in those lakes for fish, when the last study was, all that kind of stuff. So I Googled the lake, and up come the same information, but now there was no talk of brown trout, no talk of salmon. All that it mentioned was what a great fishery it was for pike and crappie. And I'm probably saying crappie wrong, because it is a crappie fish. So you guys from down south that fish for those things, I know you're going to have a good laugh at my Maine accent right about now. But anyways, that's the long and short of how ugly I got back in the late 1990s. Because I didn't want no part of those pike back then. But, oh well, you tip forward 30 years. I've kind of changed my mind about the pike a little bit. Not that I think they're any better. I think they ruined the state by transplanting them all around in our Great Lakes. But that's what's here now. And the same thing with the crappie. So I decided to put a fish house together and go around the lake and see what's going on myself, I guess. And I've heard that there's some big ones being caught, really big. And the same thing with the crappie. I've heard that when you get into them by the bucket load. And I guess they're really good to eat. I've never eaten one myself. But anytime we talk about food for the table, especially nowadays, at the cost of food, you get my attention a little bit. And what really gets my attention is fish that you can fish for with no limits. Especially fish that make a good fish chowder or something like that. And that's what I've discovered about the pike. Not that I like them. I still think they're junk fish, and I still don't think they belong in the state of Maine. You'll never convince me different, so don't even try. I think that if it was up to me, if they could find out who introduced them to the lake, they should be booted out of the state, fined into oblivion, if not thrown into jail for life. I don't think that there should be any softness on them at all. I think that the full weight of the law should crush them into oblivion. If you want to know how I really feel about people that transport illegal fish around the state of Maine and throw them into the lake that they live on. I mean, even back then they tried throwing white perch into Moosehead. Moosehead Lake is our largest lake in the state, and some dumbass brought some white perch up there. This topic irritates me, so you'll have to take it with a grain of salt, and if you don't, I really don't give a rat's ass. When you take a good fishery and turn it into a junk fishery, I think you ought to be squashed like a bug on the windshield or under my boot. But all that aside, the pike do make a pretty good chowder, especially if I can get my hands on a big one. Over at the other shack, where we just put the shack out, we catch quite a few pike out over there. We catch a lot of nice bass. You've seen the pictures. I'm not a bass fisherman, but I am a table fisherman. And them bass make really good chowders. They make really good fish nuggets. My grandsons love the fish nuggets that we make. When they look at a fish that like that, they don't say it's a fish. They call it fish nuggets, because that's what we do. We catch it, we kill it, and we turn it into fish nuggets. So, but anyways, I've decided to make it. I keep getting back to this fish house. This wasn't even the topic for this video. The topic for this video is this bag. But we're going to have to save that for the next video. This is a saddlebag for my snowmobile. And I figured I would go over the contents with you. But somehow, if we went down a rabbit hole that has nothing to do with that saddlebag at all. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to put together a mobile fish house, something that will shoot up the lake like grease lightning. My shack's up at the Rustic log cabin. I can go 40, 50 miles an hour down the lake with the shack behind me, and stays right there, and you don't even know it's behind you. So that's what I'm building here. Long, narrow, and short, big enough to set in and heat them up with a buddy heater and all that. I put a 20-pound tank propane in. I put in the big hose, and then I run a buddy heater, and it keeps the shacks ultralight. I pull into a spot, no fuss, no muss. I park the building, I open the door, and I'm fishing. That's why you don't see me with all them portable shacks that you gotta pitch a tent and screw it to the ice before you can go ice fishing. Not in this camp. I pull into a cove, I pull into an island, I unhook from the fish house, and I'm there for the day. So that's what I'll be building here. I had one years ago, 30 years ago, when I was fishing out here, and I could bounce all over the place. I never spent more than a week or two on one island or one cove, and with 14 miles of lake, I could fish anywhere. 14 miles of lake, and boy, I want to say a minimum of 30 islands that dot up and down the lake with coves, big rock piles, everything that you need for brown trout fishing. And so I'm going to go out here and I'm going to look for the pike, and I'm going to look for the crappie, and at the same time I'm going to fish some of my old haunts for the brown trout. I had a couple of islands out there that was top notch for catching brown trout. So I'm going to go park on those islands for a day or two and see if there is a brown trout still left in the lake. And if there isn't, then you'll know why I was so mad 30 years ago. Because if I can't catch a brown trout on, boy, there was an island, there was a point, there was 2 or 3 points that they were just like you could bank on it. You could bank on one island. You could pretty much bank on that you were going to catch a 5-pound brown trout. And I brought kids with me out there, and by the end of the day, they had themselves a 5-pound fish, which in a couple of cases turned out to be their lifetime big fish. So, and even to this day, they're 40 plus years old now. And but even to this day, we get together and they talk about their lifetime fish that they caught when they were 12 years old, 13 years old, riding in the boat. And it was out in this lake fishing for those brown trout. So, but anyways, this is probably a lot better video than talking about that. My saddlebags for the snowmobile, educational, as well as a little bit of a rant there as far as stupid people that transplant illegal fish around the state of Maine. Can't make it any clearer than that, now can we? I'm sitting in the new garage for the snowmobile. And the snowmobile is sitting in the trailer. Well, we're getting ready for a nasty storm tomorrow, so I think I'm going to tuck all that stuff away a little deeper out of the driveway, so nothing's in the way. And then get ready for the storm. Yippee-ki-yay! I'm in a mood. And I'll build a video. I've got a lot of people that have been asking questions about my fish houses for years, because we built the last one up at the Rustic log cabin. And, you know, I took videos of it as we went along. And I'll do the same thing here. Only this time I will take a little bit more time and go into a little bit more detail on what I'm using and how I'm using it and how I'm putting it all together. Because I had that much interest over the last 2 or 3 years, as well as I've had that many questions about the fish houses. Because of my design and because they're so light. And also the cost. You know, I've got all the materials picked up already. I picked up, all it is 2x4s, a couple of skis, and a piece of plywood for the floor. And I got my big picture window off Marketplace 2 days ago. Did that on Sunday. I like to put a big picture window in on the side of them because the sun will heat them up. You always point that sun to the south, and then the sun itself will warm that fish house up all day long without the buddy heater. So we just use the buddy heater first thing in the morning, take the chill out of the place, and every once in a while turn it on, take the chill out. But otherwise than that, the sun will take care of everything. But so that won't take me long. I'm pretty fast at knocking those out. It's going to be a little over 3 feet. Probably it's going to be 40 inches wide, 7 feet long. Was it 64 inches tall? So big enough to set in, not big enough to stand up in. You want to stand up? You go outdoors. There will be a hole in the floor for jigging. So if I do find a good spot for those crappie fish by the bucket load, then we will move the fish house to that spot and slide her into place, and we'll sit in there in comfort and jig up as many of them crappie fish as we can. Well, alrighty, you guys have a great week, and I will see you next week. And who knows, maybe the next video will be about the saddlebags and what's in it. So, you guys have a great day.